Welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast. My name is Ian Ray, your host. Today I have Maria Victoria Faustino, based out of Montreal, Canada. She is the owner of MCA Montreal, FST Level 1, Massage LMT, and personal trainer. But Maria, welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes. So I know we were mentioning, we've been meaning to get you here on the podcast several months ago. Things have happened. Things have changed. But I would love the audience to know, just introduce yourself, who you are, how did you get into the space of FSD, but even before that, like you're mentioning personal training and like your background. So go ahead.
Okay, so if I go even further than that and I go into working into administration, so I was working in administration, so office corporate job for over 10 years. And on the side of that, I was also training just myself and stuff like that. And then after at one point, I saw one of my coaches at that time, she was preparing for a fitness competition. And so then I was curious. It was something that it's not my thing. It's not something that I was even looking towards, but I was curious. And then at one point, I said to myself, you know what? I need to get out of my bubble because I'm a little bit more reserved and all these things, to get out of my bubble and to be able to do something different. I said, let me try doing a fitness competition. So I started prepping for it in 2015. And then we went along. It was October 2015, and we were 5 girls in the category fitness model, IDFA competition in Montreal. And I won that division. So that was a boost of confidence for sure. And at that same moment, it gave me that, if I even go further, is I didn't know what confidence was until I ended up going on stage. And then I felt that all my hard work was paying off and stuff like that. So that's that feeling that I got on stage, I wanted to give back to people. And in my corporate job, I felt like I wasn't necessarily helping anyone except for the company, right? It's a different goal. And so I said to myself, no, I want to be able to help people feel good in their body, good about themselves, and just feel good overall, and to be functional and all these things. So I decided to quit my full-time job with benefits and everything. So that was something. It's a risk. It's always a risk, right? When you're going from something that's more secure and then going and jumping into the abyss type thing. So I took that leap of faith. And after that, COVID hit, because 2015, after we jumped forward afterwards, COVID hit and they were closing up the gyms. So again, that we had to do a kind of had to reanalyze what I was doing with my life, in a sense, because I couldn't gain any revenue at that moment. So I said, I was doing university as well at the same time as I was doing the personal training, and everything was online, and it wasn't a convenient experience, I found. So then I said to myself, okay, either I continue and I do another session like within the university, or I change up my journey again. And then I found massage therapy. I went into that, and I had done the Swedish course and whatnot. And if I go forward now, in the midst of everything, I found a clinic, an FST clinic, OSC, Optimal Stretch Clinic, in Montreal as well, St. Louis. And I fell upon them, and I said, you know what, I'm going to try it out. I needed a treatment anyways for myself. And I went. I got onto the table. I was completely surprised because that same night after treatment, I slept like a baby. Like I passed out. I got home. I slept well, and the repercussions of the treatment lasted over months and months, which was fantastic because I saw the change right away when I had a training to do with some colleagues, personal training, and then when I was training and I was doing push-ups, I'm like, okay, normally I would get some restriction, but I didn't have. I'm telling you, from the FST that I had received from the clinic, I went on and I think we were training for 4 hours. At one point, your body gives out, right? But my body kept going and it was still performing at its best. And I'm pretty sure it was due to the FST that I had done a few days before that. But yeah, so that's how I got into knowing about FST, is through the OSC clinic. And then I asked myself, how did you get certified? I asked questions and all these things. I I researched it, and then I found that it was being done in Ontario. So I decided to head down there myself and get myself my level 1, because I saw the benefit of that's to my toolkit. definitely.
That's awesome. You're like one of the many guests I've had who've had a profound effect on FST on themselves personally, and was moved to see like, hey, if this can help me, I wonder if I can help more people. And I think that's awesome, and you feeling that effect right away, that's phenomenal.
It's not invasive, right? So it wasn't invasive, and I was seeing I was seeing it projected a lot further down the line in terms of people that necessarily can't get massage therapy or other types of treatment, which requires a little bit more elbow grease and stuff. The FST I found is a little bit less invasive, and it's if I use a personal experience as well. When my dad had fallen ill and it landed in the hospital, I could do some massage therapy stuff, but I was doing a lot more mobilizations with the FST, and it did help him a lot during that time that he was there.
Wow, that's awesome. If only Western medicine and hospitals would see FST as a modality to recover post surgery or just even strokes. I think that would be phenomenal, right?
100%.
If they can only see that. So background admin, FST, personal training. I mean, that's great. So I think that's the beauty about FST and stretch to win is that people are coming from different backgrounds into this. It's, you don't have to be a personal trainer. Most people I've heard of stories where they're construction workers who just need a career change and getting into this. So that's phenomenal that, you've seen this and continue to do so. But tell me, what's the name behind MCA Montreal? How did you come up with the name?
So so MCA stands for Ma Clinique Anatomique, so my anatomy clinic in essence.
Mm-hmm.
Why I chose a name more on that end is more because in massage therapy here in Montreal, there's a lot more of massotherapy, or it's always it always has that name to it, and I wanted to be able to give something a little bit different if ever I was to get different types of therapists and stuff coming in as well to work with. I wanted it to not just be massotherapy or massage therapy Maria or something. I wanted it to stand out a little bit more, and knowing more about the human body and then going through FST and then the anatomy trains and all these things, you see that the human body is much more complex, but simple, but much more complex than just muscles, muscular skeletal system and all these things. It's more, a lot more varied than that. And so that's where I came upon the name. And I just wanted people to, when they book with me, they know that they're getting a treatment for their body and not just the opposing side of massage therapy here in Montreal sometimes has a wrong connotation. They go on masseurs or things like that. That's a whole other section, which we're not going to get into, but I didn't want to be in that same category, right? So I'm trying to make it more professional, and that's why I wanted a more professional name and took it more in the French way, because in Quebec we had to have more of a French, I guess French name. Yeah, that's it.
I got you. So you grew up in Montreal.
I grew up in the South Shore, so
Okay.
I wasn't born in Montreal, but like South Shore from there, so more more countryside. And then so then after I found that in the countryside it can't really pierce through the you have to be able to go towards the cities to be able to make a name for yourself and to have a better life and whatnot. So that's why I decided to go more towards Montreal, more towards Laval and stuff.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, that'll be harder. I mean, I don't know. Maybe being in the countryside, it's smaller population, definitely driving more.
Exactly. More, it's small town, people, everyone knows each other. And then so the jobs that are there if you work for jobs that are there, most times it's people that are friends and family of that business owner that will get promoted rather than new people coming in. And there's no possibility of promotion within the company, things like that. I've been through that in the different areas that I did live in the South Shore. So that's why I decided to, you know what, I'm gonna go towards the bigger cities to see if I can make a name and a living for myself.
So when you heard so you went to Optimal Stretch Clinic with Charlie Cabrera guys over there, and they have a great team. But I'm trying to figure out too is like, did you have any hesitancy when you were enrolling to the FST Level 1 course because you got the treatment, or were you already sold because you were asking those questions? Where can I get certified? Did you have any hesitancy at all? Or were you like, let's go?
I was just fully on board. As soon as I got the treatment, I felt the difference immediately. And I said to myself, there's something to FST and I want to be able to bring it here, especially because it's not something that's really used, I find, in the Montreal area. In Ontario, it's very well known. Going to stores down there and they're like, oh, you're doing
Yeah.
the FST certification. They knew right away what it was. Whereas here, it's still taking a little bit of time to get known, I find.
Okay.
But I was fully sold. As soon as I met the OSC team, I was fully sold, 100%.
Who are your typical demographic population that comes to MCA?
To be honest, I have from younger, like preteens to 7-year-old clients. Like it ranges. It really ranges from one end to another. I don't limit myself either because I do have, like I said, I have young kids as well at home and I do practice certain things on them. Probably not the FST necessarily, but there's certain things that I'm able to help with if they get any muscle pains and stuff. So I don't have a set clientele, if that makes sense. I'm really all over for that, and all ages can benefit, I find, from the different types of therapies, and especially from FST, in my opinion.
So how do you typically include FST work with your clientele? Person, whether if it's personal training or massage, like how do you offer that? Or is it something that you give a demo and then they kind of get a feel and then they're like, maybe I should do more?
So usually to get people to appreciate the FST and to feel anything right away is to get them on the table. That's the first and initial way that works, I find. People that don't know what FST is, they're like stretched. They don't comprehend. They don't know. They've never seen anything like this, I find, with the clients that I've met. So to get them on the table was the first initial thing. And then if ever I want people to get to know, if people that do massage therapy with me, let's say, then I incorporate some of the stretching within the actual massage itself and with the extra draping and whatnot, but I'm still able to do some of the FST techniques in my massage therapy practice in an actual session.
Typically, do you do more massage or is it 50-50 with massage and personal training currently? Or like how do you incorporate?
I took my focus more away from the personal training just for a little bit, like as of last year, I would say, and mainly focus on growing the MCA business. And so I would say it's a good mix, like at least 50-50 massage and stretch. I'd have to say I incorporate the two in pretty much all of my sessions. In some way, somehow, I incorporate some of the FST within that, for sure.
Success stories. I'd love to hear some success stories, current or past clients that has benefited from FST into their, the treatments.
I have one in particular that kind of shocked me in a sense. Like this girl, she was a banker and she was struggling with pain for the longest time. Pain in the cervical area, creating a lot of headaches, a lot of pains, just postural pains, standing, whatever she would do, it would be very painful for her. So when I had seen her the first time, we did do a massage therapy session to just kind of see if it was to loosen up any musculature and stuff like that. But she was still in pain. So then after I said, you know what, we're going to try something different. Come in and we're going to do the FST. So we really tuned down her nervous system. And that's, I found, really helped with the pain receptors and all these things. So we toned that down and we did the upper body level 1 stuff with her. And it made such a huge difference. She is no longer in pain. That's why she doesn't come to see me anymore for now, which is a good thing, I find. But I remember that the last session I had before we had stopped because I think I was going through some stuff as well, or I was pregnant. I'm not too sure. She actually gave me a hug and she was crying from the fact that she was no longer in pain. And for me, that's huge. That's something major because no one deserves to be living in pain, and to be able to have now a pain-free life and not have those headaches, not have to take pills, especially the fact of having to take medication for those aches and pains. She was all off of all of that. So I would say that's one of my biggest success stories is that specific client.
Yeah. That's profound, right? When you can help facilitate that type of recovery and like healing for clients. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the reason why a lot of people do FST is because they're trying to, help with their clients different ways, different modalities, but then they find this and this seems to be, one of the many ways that can help that person. It might not be for everyone, but just this could help that one person off of one session or more. So That's the cool thing I find about fascia stretch therapy is that it's for everyone in any type of injuries or, alleviating pain. That's just a wonderful thing. I saw that you also had gone to some an anatomy training course with Tom Myers in the past, a couple of years ago. That's my goal, to eventually learn. I think that would be cool to learn from him. Tell me your experience. Like, how was it?
To be quite honest, it was not necessarily a hands-on course. It was really more to go and dive deep into the deep front line. So we were just going through what it is and whatnot, but there was no hands-on practice. So there was no manual movements or whatnot, no therapy approaches for that.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting. I would definitely want to do more of a manual approach with anatomy trains for sure. But he also had a special guest there that was doing more of the movements in order to stretch the fascia lines. So that was very interesting as well to be able to, how can we, okay, as therapists or to continue on the job of FST, how are you able to move your body in a way where you can keep those gains, right? In essence, or to keep those stretched or how do you call that, lubricated and whatnot. So we were going through practices of that. So it was more like an individual practice versus, like I said, hands-on. But it was very interesting. If you have the chance to meet him, I would definitely tell you go straight into that for sure. It's just going to give you a different view on how you can see fascia as well and how you can see FST because Tom has worked with, I remember I had spoken to him and I spoke to him before doing the FST actually because I was still, okay, it's coming back to me. I was still a little bit on the fence because I was trying to see what was the best thing. Okay, there's FST. What else is there out there that kind of resembles or that we're already doing? And I remember asking Tom his opinion, like if it's a practice that he thinks I should go in or whatnot. And he said he had worked with Anne Frederick and all these things. So in my head, I'm like, okay, if this big name is working with other big names and whatnot, so I said, okay, I'll go and have a look and see. There's no harm to it, right? So he gave me a little bit of a push. If he probably doesn't know that, but he gave me a little bit of a push to do the actual FST.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard of stories too how anatomy trains has directly correlated with Stretch to Win and how Chris and Ann have learned from him because he's been doing fascia type of research for years on top of Robert Schleip and other people who are doing fascia study. It's amazing because without him and his years of expertise, I think there wouldn't be a lot of people learning about the different nets, and it seems to me that he makes it very simple for practitioners or even the general public to understand what fascia is. And so that's cool. That's cool that he gave not a green light, but he gave a recommendation as far as like, hey, yeah, do that. What, I guess, to you, how do you explain fascia to clients if they don't know what fascia stretch therapy is? Do you have to explain it? Do they already know what fascia is? How do you help clients to understand?
A lot of times, some clients do know what it is because I find now more people are more curious about the human body and about aches and pains and how to help solve all these things. So I find, and with Instagram and everything being so abundant with information, let's say, I find that they can definitely find a little bit of information on fascia for sure. And then fascia is becoming a lot more talked about too. I don't want to say it's like a buzzword, but it seems to be anyways right now. But for me, what I just say to them is I use two ways. There's obviously I use more okay, you have your muscles and everything in your body that's just covered with this mucousy membrane, which needs to slide and make everything glide, right? So that's how I kind of go about it. It's like I don't want to say it's like snot covering your whole muscle system and organs, but in essence, it's kind of like a gluey type of texture and stuff like that to allow proper movement and whatnot. So that's how I use it. If not, you can also use the analogy of it being like a spider web, right? So it's a spider web. And if you would think that a spider would make a spider web on like 4 chopsticks and you move those chopsticks around, if it doesn't move together, it will break, right? So I kind of use analogies in that sense. But my analogies are always a little bit weird. So that's that. Those are the time. It depends on the client because the thing is, you always have to find a way that speaks to that client, right?
Yeah.
You can use an analogy, but if that just doesn't stick well with that client, there's going to go through one ear and out the other. So I rather make it fun and try to find a way that's going to be understanding for them. And usually when things are funny, it will stick, right? So that's that.
No, that's true, especially with the different type of people that you're meeting. I mean, and getting on the table, like you have to make it so that it's relatable to them and what they're doing and why it's, why the fascia it's so important for them and the type of work that they're doing. So definitely. How do you see fascia stretch therapy evolving in the future? I know you said that Montreal is kind of catching up with FST since Ontario seems to be flooded. I mean, Canada has a lot of FST practitioners, but you, in your personal experience, how do you see FST evolving as a practice, as the worldwide?
It's because here I find, depending with the different types of other therapies that exist, I find that the whole stretching has a bad rep. A lot of people have opinions about stretching, and then they think overstretching and all these things. So if that continues in that same mentality, you're always going to have an opposition, I find. But if that continues in that same mentality, like I find that, how do you call that? The let me back up. So you have yoga, you have your like some people are going to say it's overstretching. Then you're going to have people that just it gives a bad rep. They say that stretching is just going to end up making joints more loose and all these things, but FST goes deeper within that. I find it's not just creating stretch, it's you're mobilizing the tissues around that to be able to move better and whatnot. You can also create some PNF points and stuff like that, so you can have the client contract also and not just be passive, because passive is great, but you also have an active component. And if you don't have that active component, that's when things I find can be lost. And not only that is, if FST is just used as FST, it has to be used with a strength and conditioning program in accordance to that, or anything to be able to work the tissues that we have just mobilized, because if not, it's lost. Like anything.
Correct.
Yes, it will be longer than massage therapy, but I find that if you just go ahead and stretch, if you're not working in that space now, it's going to be lost. So then if we don't create programs around that, FST will just become a buzzword, or fascia will just become a buzzword, and will just have a bad rep. I just find that if we can promote a little bit more the flip side of that, and creating programs within the FST in order to be able to get clients moving in that space, then yes, I find that it will be propelled even further. But I don't know if that answered your question, but I find that would be the way to go about it. If not, FST is just another therapy. It's just going to become another therapy, and that's it. But we have to be able to use that therapy in order to create long lasting results.
Yeah.
With a
interesting.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, never heard of that, but that is an interesting and valid point. Like I said, I always tell my clients too, like my aspect of FSC practitioners, I'm just giving you flexibility and mobility back, but you need to add the strength conditioning. It's like a rubber band. You stretch that rubber band, it loses its form. It's not a rubber band anymore. It's just a loose piece of rubber. To create strength, you need some rigid structure to form around it, whether if it's, something very solid. So that's where the strength conditioning portion comes in, so that it can continue to have elasticity around that muscle or the joints. So I find that that's totally true. We're just one aspect of the overall health and wellness. Fitness is general too.
You have to have just as much flexibility as you have stability. If you have too much flexibility, a yoga practitioner, let's say, I don't want to bash any yoga practitioners, but if they don't have enough strength to go with that, then they're just going to be all loose. And same thing if we take a bodybuilder and they don't have enough flexibility, well, then they're just going to be a pile of muscle. So you want to have flexibility and stability at the same time to make sure that the body is in a state of balance to a certain extent. Balance is key in anything, and it has to also be a part of the whole FST structure. That's how I see it.
Kind of changing gears, but so when you started MCA, I guess, how did you grow your business from the time that you started until now? Like what were some of the main key points or that you found successfully in keeping this afloat?
So having had my personal training clients initially, first having that and having a background in the training world did help me transition a lot quicker towards getting them to get a massage or getting them to feel FST and stuff like that, and to speak about the benefits that it will have in relation to their training or in relation to their functional worlds or lifestyles or whatnot, right? So it was a very easy transition Then afterwards, just, networking with a lot of people and working inside of gyms, I find does help a lot. That's why I have this new location, which I'm in now, in the same gym that had moved. I was in two gyms, one in Laval, one in Montreal. And I was doing personal training and massage and FST in one, and then just massage and FST in another. And then I just said, you know what, I'm going to focus all my energy on just doing the massage and FST, just because I just saw it. People don't cancel a massage therapy and FST because it makes you feel good. People will cancel training because you're putting their body in. So that's another way. That's another thing too. I was looking at the money benefit at the same time. I was saying, okay, people, they like to feel good, so I want to help them feel good, and then they can do what they need to do on their end as well. And if not, I can transfer them to the right people. So then seeing that, okay, I'm going to close the Laval location. I'm going to focus mainly on one place, which was feeding me a lot more clients, if that makes sense. And I just preferred the location and stuff like that too. So I put all my focus into that, and that's what kind of helped it continue to build. It's just consistency, right? So if you put your energy into one thing, then it's going to grow eventually. So that's what I did with MCA. I decided to close the two. I had two locations. I closed and just kept one, and put all my focus into that to make sure people understand the manual therapies and what I'm trying to put into place to be able to help them, right? And then being in a gym just helps that transition, because if they're in pain, they're going to send them to me automatically. I'm going to help them, but then I'm going to give the protocols that I need the coaches for them to do during their trainings. So having that network, I find helps, because if you just go see a therapist and then after they go on to their lives, I find we don't know unless we see them again and they keep that same pattern, or if they're in the hands of a coach at the same time, at least they can really put things into practice afterwards in that space that we had just created. So all that to say is I put all my efforts into one place, and then I just kind of built off that, and it's word of mouth. So just making people feel good, and then it just brings much more people to come and discover what FST and the other manual therapies I do.
So that kind of goes into my next question, is like what marketing or, sales strategies has worked and that's most effective in attracting new clients. That's been word of mouth for you, and like being in the same, I guess, focusing your area in one place rather than different areas, correct?
Exactly. Instead of being spread out, focus on one place, build a community there, build a rapport there. Because if you're in 5,000 places at once, it could be good, but you're not going to get stability, I find, and people are not going to know you for what you do, if that makes sense. If you're all over the place, people are trying to find where you're at. If you keep moving, it's hard to create that rapport with that client and whatnot. Me being in one place, having that rapport with the personal trainings that I've had, and then having them just kind of filter through into the manual therapies kind of helped. And I don't use, I'm trying now to use the whole Instagram ads and all these things and whatnot, but word of mouth for me is the best thing. Get on the table, try the service, you like it, okay, and then we try to get a protocol going, way of going about it within either a set period of time or set number of sessions, and that's pretty much how I go about it. I'm not yet into the whole advertisements and all these things yet. I find the best advertisement is getting on the table and feeling, for sure.
Yeah, especially with FST, like, yeah, people don't know FST. They need to feel it and get on the table, because that's the only way we could talk about it. But it's not like massage. People have been to massage, but people who haven't, they need to understand like this is totally different. So I totally agree. What you call it? I would love for the audience, because I always end my podcast by, showcasing my guests, and of course, knowing how people can find you and book a session. So I'd love for the audience to find out how they can book a session, get in touch with you. So if you want to, feel free to share your website, social media handle, way to the location, obviously, so that they can book a session.
So I'm located inside of a gym called BDF. And so MCA is located at 5155 de Sorel, so Sorel Street, SOREL, Montreal, right near the Royal Mount. For people that are aware of the area, it's a new mall that just was created not too long ago. So it being accessible through there, it being across also a metro is super convenient, the Metro de la Savane. And so my Instagram handle is MCA Montreal. So as it's said, it's as it's written, right? And I also have my own Instagram, my personal Instagram as well, which I share from both accounts. So it's Maria dot Victoria.Faustino. Unfortunately, it's long, but it is what it is with with my kind of name. Anyways, and so I said website is com, so you can go on there. I'm still kind of trying to put it all together for the website, so that's still kind of, it's on a landing page, but it still gives you the prompt to put in your information. I contact you through there. And for the booking, you would be able to go on to Go Rendezvous, so www.gorendezvous.com/MCA. If you put that in, you should be able to book. But it's also in my bio on my Instagram page, on the MCA Montreal Instagram page. You'll see it in the bio. There's a booking link. It points down at it. You click on that, and then you can book.
Yeah, and of course, everyone, for those, yes.
Well, thank you so much as well for the invitation, and I'm happy that we were able to finally connect. Took a little bit of time, but it's better later than never, right?
Yes, of course. And don't forget to subscribe, follow the Stretch to Go podcast. We release new podcasts every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. But yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.